Sometimes what we do requires a leap of faith. To believe when nobody else will.
I had a premonition. If we keep doing this, we are going to die. Something inhuman wants to kill us.
Janet, are you all right?
El Conjuro 2.
La primera entrega del Conjuro nos fascinó a todos y se viene la segunda parte en poquitas horas y qué mejor que hablar con ellos sobre la película. James Wan, Patrick Wilson, thanks for your time. Congrats on this movie.
Thank you.
Which were your first impressions after reading the sequel script?
I knew he was just pushing the envelope. I did things in this movie that I never thought I would do certainly in a horror movie, and I love that. And I love that not only is he a master of the scares, but for me as an actor, when I read a script and I see so much heart in the film, so much that sort of transcends the genre, that to me says that no one is sitting back, that he's pushing himself and he's pushing the film. Because I think that's one of the biggest reasons why the first one was able to reach such a wider audience, because I think at the end of the day, you know that it's about character and people. Yeah, you can, I guess, scare people, and there are a lot of horror movies out there, but it's so much more of a real world in a real movie when you get to know these characters and you see different sides of people.
When you first read the Warren's files, did you notice only 2 movies, or we will have Ed and Lorraine for a long time?
Well, I mean, I knew that they investigated many cases in
Yes.
their lifetime. And so, you know, you never know. You're like, you know, you do one and you have aspirations. If it does well, maybe there'll be another one down the line. And if this one does well, maybe there'll be another one. And it's great because that means that the sequels are very organic. It's not like we're trying to, you know, go, how are we going to cook up another story? We actually have lots of stories to pull from. But for me, more importantly, I care about what made me come back to this film is the characters of, you know, that Patrick and Vera plays in this in this franchise, and for me, continuing the world that the Warrens, you know, that the Warrens live in and what they are, and expanding on that world is what's most exciting for me. And the cases, the scary cases, is just, you know, whatever. But continuing what happens with them is the most interesting thing.
They're calling it England's Amityville. There is a family that desperately needs our help.
After everything we've seen, there isn't much that rattles either of us anymore. But this one still haunts me.
You're playing Ed again. Did you find anything new about him?
Anything new? You know, before we shot it, Vera and I went to Connecticut, drove up there together like we did for the first one, just to sit with Lorraine and with their son-in-law Tony and with their daughter Judy, and we're very open in saying, is there anything we didn't get right? What could we do? What could we show? And we were so happy to know that we had their support from the first one. But Lorraine always talked about their bond and how faithful they were to each other, how he would do anything for her. And so really capturing that relationship was something that we both, not that we didn't know it from the first one, but it made us that much more anxious to put that in this one. And then there were just tiny little things, you know, just I always liked things that nobody would notice. And I'd come to him and I'd say, listen, this is what kind of drink he liked. Can I do that? And she'd be like, sure, whatever. I have a scene to shoot. Right, but he held it with this hand. Like, yeah, whatever.
and little mannerism that he would do and the way he would speak as well.
Right,
yeah, that's what Patrick would like to bring to it.
Right.
But it keeps it fun for him, which is great.
Silly actors. Keep yourself busy. I have a movie to make.
James, how do you design the scary moments?
How do I design the scary
Yes.
moments? I always say I try to come up with things that ultimately scares myself. Yes. I use myself as the gauge, as the thermometer. I like to think that, you know, if it is something that I kind of find creepy or potentially frightening in some ways, then I like to think that, you know, the general public out there would hopefully feel the same way. But you never know. And then I just use that. I go from there, and then we'll see what happens. Yeah.
You believe us, don't you?
Sensing a presence?
I'm not sensing anything. All I can sense is their own fear.
There's somebody in here!
did working on this make you a believer?
Oh, geez. You know, I don't know. I'm so used to looking at this and these paranormal situations through, this sounds so weird, but through Ed's eyes, or through what I would imagine Ed would do. And when because I think there is a lot of me in there, obviously. So, am I a believer? I'm open to a lot. Have I ever had this stuff happen to me? No. But I think, like Ed, I think I'm open to the possibility of it. But also, like Ed, if I see a scary situation or a paranormal situation, I don't run from it. I'm fascinated by it. You know, people, like, I live in a pretty old house, and people that have had some situations in my house, actually, with hearing a lot of, and it creeps out my wife. For me, I'm fascinated. Really, I want that to, like,
Yes.
I want to know about it. I want to fix it. I'm also just a fixer. I think, like Ed, too. I'm that guy. I walk around the house with a wrench trying to fix it.
Shane, what was the most difficult scene to shoot in this movie?
Whoa. I don't know. What do you think?
That whole last sequence.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Oh, yes. Right.
Yeah, that sequence. I don't want to say when that happened.
That's all I said.
That's,
was
yeah,
that.
I nearly came in.
That
and
is
said
in the movie.
Yeah, that is in the movie. That was physically challenging, just
Physically
because,
challenging, sure.
But, you know, from a technical standpoint, you know, you have rain, you have wind, and, you know, and Patrick and the young girl Madison, they're literally dangling out the window, and it's a 2-story house, you know, and so they're really dangling. And so for me, I'm worried about my actors, but luckily I've got such an amazing professional crew around me. Everything went very smoothly. But for me, actually, a lot of the movie was challenging to shoot, and not necessarily from a technical standpoint, but just how much pressure I put on myself to kind of bring more to each scene, and not just the scare scenes. You know, like Patrick would point out, you know, the emotional stuff, the stuff that brings heart to the film. I really want to get those moments right as well, because to me, those are the moments that really make you love the characters and therefore love the movie. And so I think that's important, you know, for me. You know, the scares are great, but loving the story and the characters is very important. And so the overall movie was very challenging.
No, it was.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you so much.
I had a premonition of your death.
Who's that?
The family's just a pawn. Something inhuman wants to kill you. If we keep doing this, you're going to die.